Greetings, friends. Welcome to the next edition of Disciples Advocate Digest. Brian Frederick-Gray here with Chris Dorsey, and we've got 3 issues for you today and resources tied to each one of them. Chris, where are we getting started?
Well, Brian, we're living in a time when a lot of people in our country and in other parts of the world are kind of conflating their faith with their national identity. And this is never a good idea. Throughout history, it's always worked out disastrously. And I think we can probably anticipate it being disastrous this time.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. Benjamin Cremer has this new resource that just got released. A huge thanks to Rebecca Littlejohn. I spotted this first on her social media feed. Thank you, Rebecca. It's this ebook called A Christian Field Guide to Christian Nationalism. Reverend Kramer's life's work is about moving away from Christian nationalism and religious fundamentalism and bringing us back to a church that can reclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ together.
That sounds like it falls right in line with how a lot of disciples feel, and especially in such a polarizing time.
Yes, and this book is short, it's easy to read, and more than anything else, it is an invitation for folks. He wants us to be in conversation with each other around this.
So let's summarize it a little bit, Brian. I know in the book he says that at its core, Christian nationalism is the belief that a particular nation, which is the United States in our case, has a special relationship with God and should therefore be governed in ways that privilege a specific form of Christianity. Now, he's careful to say that it's not synonymous with the Christian faith itself, nor with ordinary civic engagement. Brian, it's also important that we remember that a lot of people, myself included, are particularly intentional about making the distinction that this really is about white Christian
Yes.
nationalism. There's absolutely a racialized component to it that privileges whiteness and Euro-American culture as normative, and in doing so, sets up a controlling paradigm for how Christian faith should be, should look, and should act.
Yes.
So, what are the resources, Brian? You want to list some of them out?
Yeah, we're going to include the link directly to A Christian Field Guide to Christian Nationalism. The subtitle to that is Why It Matters, what it is, why it matters, and how to respond. This is a 17-page long ebook that you can download for free. Recommend it to you highly. We're also going to link directly to 2 General Assembly resolutions, one from 2023 that was calling the church to oppose Christian nationalism, another from 2025 that was calling us to oppose policies that are inconsistent with our commitments to justice, mercy, and compassion. And while you're clicking on links, friends, I also want to send you towards Sermons Against Christian Nationalism. This was organized in 2022 by Rebecca Littlejohn. Huge thanks again to Rebecca. It lives on the Disciples Peace Fellowship website, and it is a collection of sermons that were offered around World Communion Sunday that are dealing with the subject of Christian nationalism.
Moving on to our second topic, I am a huge music aficionado. I love music. It gets me through life. And in these particularly difficult times, I've been kind of listening to a lot of songs that help me to make it through. One of the songs that I really love lately is this song by Michael Franti called Bomb the World. And there's a lyric in that song that says, "We can bomb the world to pieces, but we can't bomb it into peace."
Wow.
I think music and song lyrics have a way of helping us to really understand where we are and also how to make it through. In fact, Brian Stevenson, whom both of us admire a great deal, said that justice work requires a soundtrack.
Yeah, and we're seeing this grassroots movement of singing resistance right now. Literally, what the movement is called, singing resistance. Came out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, where during the ice surge that was happening there late last year and the beginning of this year, people would gather to sing together. It's about building our resilience. It's about building community at exactly the same time. And now chapters are starting to pop up all over the country. I know there's a chapter in Indianapolis, Chris. There's a chapter right here in Bloomington, where I live as well.
Yeah, this is important. So throughout the civil rights movement in this country, singing and hymns and empowering songs were a big part of the movement and always have been. Now, I will admit, Brian, I am not much of a singer,
Yeah.
but I do know lots of people who are. So you want to tell us a little bit about some of the resources available?
Yeah, absolutely. Our friends at the Kairos Center have developed this remarkable resource called Songs in the Key of Resistance, a movement songbook. It came together before this singing resistance movement, and it continues to be a helpful guide and resource for folks that are leading those. They describe it as social movement music, both old and new. And so, in this collection of well over 100 songs, you're going to find things that you're very familiar with. And you're also going to find things that you've never heard before at all. The good news is it's more than just a lyric sheet. Each one of those songs has a little button that you can click that is listen/watch, where you get to go directly to a YouTube feed that's got someone who is singing that song so that you can follow along. You learn new songs. You can then sing it in church. You can sing it with your small groups. You can sing it in chapters of Singing Resistance. You can sing it wherever justice work requires a soundtrack, because these songs help fit that bill. For this third topic, we're going to talk about the church and artificial intelligence. Chris, I don't know about you, but it seems like every other conversation that I'm having right now is about artificial intelligence. What are the opportunities? What are the costs? How are people using it? What are the environmental and economic impacts of it? How is it changing the world right now?
Yeah, and how do you even know when it's being used? That seems like one of the big questions of the day. How can you figure out? And lots of people are using it to scam people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this is the part where we do the three finger test, Chris. This is one of the ways that people are determining if there's deep fake technology that's being used. So you take three of your fingers and you just pass it over your face. If the video glitches out, that means it's not really you. So
So
Chris,
am
let's
I
make sure
supposed to
this
do
is,
that right now?
there we
Okay, there
go.
we go.
Yes,
So I
there we
actually
go.
hear this is me.
This is really us. We are not using artificial intelligence to pretend to be other people across
That's
this
good.
video.
That's good to know. If we think about it as a tool, I think we can see that there are some good benefits to it in ministry and the kind of work that we do, but
Mhm.
there's also some things to be cautious about.
Yes.
I recognize that even by saying that AI could have some beneficial uses, there's a certain number of people who would think it's just not worth it. I think that part of what I recognize, and we have been exploring at DHM, of course,
Yeah.
and a number of our ministry partners are also in conversation about how to use it responsibly and effectively. I think at its core, it's really about data stewardship. It's
Mhm.
about equity and inclusion, making sure
Yes.
that we're not contributing to inappropriate accumulation of data that goes against our standards around equity and inclusion. It's also about making sure that we maintain our sacred and our theological perspectives, that we're not
That's right.
turning that over to a machine to reflect theologically or spiritually on what it is that we do. So tell us a little bit about some resources, Brian.
Yeah, there's some wonderful things coming from some of our partners right now. So let's lift up first. The Disciples Divinity House and Institute at Vanderbilt is inviting you to a two-part webinar that's titled The Church and AI. It's being led by the Reverend Dr. Irie Lynn Session and is going to be taking place on back-to-back evenings of May 12th and 13th. So it's coming right up. Notre Dame University has created what they call the Delta framework. That's DELTA as in dignity, embodiment, love, transcendence, and agency. You can check
I
out their
thought it was
website.
Delta Airlines, which is a
A different kind of framework
different Delta.
there. Yeah. But being able to bring those sorts of values to our conversations and thoughts around the ways that we are using AI. Similarly, let's point to UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. UNESCO has this robust set of resources that includes insights on ethics for artificial intelligence. This is recommendations, its core values, its key considerations. It's not just something that you're going to want to copy and paste for your organization, but instead use as a framework for taking off into further conversations about the ways you want to think through AI and the ways you want to possibly be using it.
Good information to think about, and it's here to stay. So we're going to have to figure out how to use it, how to make peace with it, and how to make sure that it's done right. So I think that's all we have time for today, Brian. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And thank you, everyone, for watching and being a part. Blessings and peace.